Yeah, so thanks for coming. And today we're going to talk about the Living Your Design workshop. And it is the first fundamental step in learning about your personal design and taking a little deeper dive into the chart. So we're going to talk about the workshop and the benefits of it. Okay, so let's start. All right, so we'll introduce ourselves a little bit. I'm Stacy Wechstein. I have been studying human design for 3 years, and I have been in my experiment for about 6 years. I just started my 6th year this summer. I am a 2/4 emotional authority energy projector, and I have only one channel, the channel of community. And so with that, I just love to get people together to talk about human design, because I like to know the inner workings of who people are, and especially who I am. So when I heard that I was a projector and that it was really important to sleep alone in my own bed, that little bit of information was like that eye-opening piece of, oh my God, that's so true, and I need to know more. So I have taken the deep dive into human design. I am almost a certified analyst. I have one class left for the analyst track, and so excited to teach the Living Your Design workshop, because this is really where it begins. This is really where we start to go from, oh, I know my type and profile, to who am I really, and what does this mean for me? So I'm so excited, and Rose has been my co-partner in teaching for a while. We've been hosting some free study groups through Lavina's human design system, and we just love to see you all in person and look at charts and hear about your experiments and move through this together. Rose, what about you?
Hi everyone, I'm Rose Osman. I'm a 2/4 energy projector, Hispanic authority. I started human design in 2013, and for the first 3 years, I just dived into the knowledge through self-studies. And I began with my transformation journey in 2016 when I started taking this Living Your Design workshop with Lavina Levix. I've noticed the difference after I went through a Living Your Design workshop. And yesterday I came across a quote. Actually, if you know Leela Swan, she's one of the human design professional. She commented on one of the Facebook posts. I like what she said. She said that information only fits the mind. And she said that find your own actual experiences, then awareness can blossom. This is true from my experiences, because for the first 3 years when I go into self-studies, the mind tries to understand what it is like to be a projector, what it's like to wait for invitations, and the mind tries to understand the process on the mental level. But then when in LYD, when we go through the whole chart, I realized that the mind only consists of 2 centers, the head and the ajna. But the body experience consists of 7 centers, the rest of 7 centers, from the throat to the root. And the experiences is different. So this is why Stacy and I was discuss about how to really help people through this workshop. So we host this human open house for Living Your Design workshop to really give you understanding a bit about what it is. So that's my journey with human design, and I find the transformation is really, really amazing. Yeah. What do you think?
I think that's amazing too.
All right.
Now let's just set up some house rules for this time together. We'll probably be here for about 45 minutes. There's a chat box, so we're going to keep you all on mute. And if you have any questions during the time that we're going through some basic material, just type them into the chat box. And then anybody who doesn't have a chat feature because they're using their phone or something, I will open up the microphones at the end for anybody that has any additional questions. I just want to let you know that we are recording this. So if for some reason you don't want to be seen on the recording, if we use it for promotional stuff later on, just turn your webcams off. And you can do that, I think, on the lower left-hand side of the screen. Yeah, so let's begin with the human design system. What is the Living Your Design Workshop, Rose?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the workshop overview. Begin your human design journey with Living Your Design Workshop. Now, basically, when you come to know your human design, the first thing that you really want to do is you're going to go and find out all kind of information that talks about your design. This is what we do. Human design is so interesting. It's so interesting that it triggers the mind wanting to find out more and more. The things about human design, the first thing, so if you talk about human design with human design professionals, they're going to tell you you need to experiment with your design. And when you experiment with your design, only then you know what you're reading. So in this Living Your Design workshop, this is what we do. We guiding people on experimenting these with their design. So basically the overview of this Living Your Design workshop, the first thing is Living Your Design workshop is the first official human design foundational course. Now, whether or not you want to further your educations with human design, it always goes through with the Living Your Design workshop first. Now, Living Your Design workshops is module to help people with their awakening process or with their, what's the word that we use, getting to know their true self. So this is the most basic course that you will go through first. And then after the Living Your Design workshop, if you want to further more, then only then you go for the second foundation course and then the third and so on. In this workshop, we actually helps you, guides you to understand the essence of your type, your strategy and your authority, not just on the mental level, but help you, guide you to feel it within you. So in this workshop, we talk more about the practicality of your strategy and authority and your knowing the entire totality of your design. And you're going to explore your conditioning and openness. You're going to talk about the not self behind it and what's its potentials. This workshop actually helps you to begin your unique design with LYD and of course answering your questions about human design. Anything that you want to add, Stacey?
I would just add my personal experience. I think I would say that when I found out that I was a projector and I had an emotional wave and what it meant just to be a projector and the strategy that goes with that, I was overwhelmed. It took me a few months of just having that little piece of information to really understand what a projector meant. And after a couple of months, I felt like I needed to know more. And what I sense from most people who get their first taste of human design is that the complexity of the type, strategy, and authority can keep you busy for quite a while, just understanding that and experimenting with that. And what I found by taking this course for me was that there's so many layers of human design, and learning about the centers, and learning about definition and openness brought on this whole new level of where I was blocking myself. And as soon as I understood the open centers and how I could very easily, and often do, step into my not self, now I have the power to differentiate when I'm doing that. And sometimes I choose to do it anyway, because, we're very intrigued with our not self, because we're very attracted to what we are not as a general rule of human beings. And that the things that we know about ourselves, of who we are, we're like, oh yeah, I know, that's kind of boring. I want to dabble in the not self. But then there are other times where you're like, I just really need to be me. And the more we practice our experiment of really being what we are and noticing what we are not, it just brings this whole information to the other level. And for me, it's just so exquisite and beautiful. And it just always has made me want to take the next step in knowing the different parts of the chart and all of that. And those are the other foundational courses after this basic one. So let's talk about what is in the workshop, Rose.
Yeah. Right. In this workshop, we actually will cover the 9 centers. Now, first thing, when we talk about 9 center, we think 9 center is very general. It's very easy peasy. Maybe the head centers probably just about inspirations and all that. But actually, when we go deeper into the workshop, each center have its own characteristic. Each owns what do you call it? Nuances. When we go deeper and deeper, we will talk about the characteristic of each center. We're going to talk about the biological aspect of the center, which part of the biological correlations to each center. We're going to talk about the not self signposts. These are the most interesting part about the center, the not self signposts. In the end, you will realize that every open centers basically have the same characteristic, have the same behavior. And then we're going to talk about the healthy state and unhealthy states of the center. Now, the module is designed to bring the awareness so that you can really see how you're designed, how your mind especially talk about your open center. And then we explore each type and how the mechanism operates differently. Now, I agree with Stacy when she said just read about type, strategy, or authority can be very overwhelming. Now in LYD, we talk about it on the mechanical level. So basically you understand the chart, how it works, what kind of centers that makes you your type. And then we explore the strategy and authorities, the practical ways, and then we talk about your unique definitions, because this part of unique definitions is where you improve. You know how you behave in relationship. Anything you want to add, Stacy?
So just for anybody who's new and not clear, when we look at this diagram, the centers are the squares and the triangles and the diamond and that are colored in on this picture. And they are based on the Hindi chakra system. And so for anybody who is familiar with the chakra system, that's a 7-centered system. and human design is a 9-centered system. And so you will see some qualities and overlap to the energies of those centers. And you will understand through the course that this center system is similar but different. And it's broken down into a very basic way of being that makes a lot of sense. And I would also add that in terms of this workshop, we take this workshop to understand ourselves better. But since we also are taking time to go over the openness and the definition of each center and each type and the different strategies and authorities and definitions, you will walk away from this workshop understanding yourself, but also having a general understanding of the people around you. So when you pull their charts, maybe your parents or your siblings or whatever, by the end of the workshop, you'll be able to see, now I understand why my significant other is this way and I'm not. Or when we are together, there's certain nuances that come out in both of us. And it just really creates a deeper understanding of self, which is amazing. And it helps you to start your own experiment in your correctness. But it also helps you to understand the people around you, and it really can promote more patience, I guess. For me, it's patience.
Yeah. May I add, if you're a projector, what they do in Living Your Design workshop is we take a look at your chart and also the chart of people you're close with. And in that way, you understand how it is to be a projector. And for generator, manifesting generator, we completely helped you to look into yourself. Now, from my experience being a projector when I began Living Your Design workshop 2 years ago, I can really see how my interactions, how my relationship with others, it really helps me a lot. Now, one of the things that I recognize that I have undefined throat, and I speak a lot because I talk a lot because I'm always with people who have defined throat. And being a projector, I can't avoid that. But without awareness, I will keep on talking and talking. So these are the things. It's not just about looking at you, especially your projector. It's also helped you to look at the others, which are the interests of your aura. That's what your aura do.
And we will also be going over manifestor and reflector,
yeah, exactly.
in addition to the generator types and the projector type. So, okay, cool.
Yeah. Right, that's all right. Okay. Now, we're going to go a little bit deeper on this one. How does LYD help you connect with your true self? For the next slide, I give you this to you, Stacey.
I love this slide. I think it's like which road are you going to travel? So there's the mind, and I think that the conditioning that we grow up in, we are conditioned to think that the mind makes our decisions. And in human design, it's actually the body that makes our decisions. So here we have, are you going to go the mind route, or are we going to go the strategy and authority route? And the reason that it says exit 7 years on top is because Ra said that when you start experimenting with your design, it's a full 7 years deconditioning to really practice with all the nuances of who you are and really understand how beneficial it is to make decisions from your strategy and your authority. And so there's, a lot of focus in this workshop on how to do that, what it means, and we will go into a lot of, questions and answers and experiments around each strategy and authority. So you'll definitely be very well held in starting your experiment. For me, I'm an emotional authority. I'm a solar plexus authority. And that's, for me, that's really special because I used to think that I was splenic authority, which means I thought I was intuitive and I could make decisions in the moment. And so when I saw my design that I was emotional and there was no truth in the present moment for me, I learned how to slow down and not make decisions so immediate. I would wait until one part of my wave, somebody might have invited me to lunch and I got really excited and I would say yes. But I would notice like a couple days later when I was in the down part of my wave or that I was through my wave that it really didn't feel right to meet up with that person. So now as an emotional authority, I tell people, let me get back to you. That sounds really great, but let me get back to you on that invitation. So I'm noticing that over time, the more that I live my authority, the more my answer is correct for me and my relationships are more solid. When I make decisions with my mind, like I said, like just jumping in and saying yes, later on I have to undo what I've done a lot of the time. So it's been a good learning lesson for me because I never would have thought that I had to wait for anything.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself, I'm a splenic projector. I know splenic is about instinct, it's about intuitions, but then again, the nuances really make difference. And after LYD, I completely take my process seriously. And I start to realize how the body actually allowed everything to flow easily through the strategy and authority. So basically, it's simple. In the end, it's simple, and yet it's not that simple. So this is the aspect that we're going to explain what's the difference between the mind making decision versus the strategy and authority. Can I move on to the next slide? Or
Okay.
all right. No, in the workshop, our main focus is the open center. We cover all the 9 centers, but when it comes to the open center, we put our focus on it because the openness is where our conditioning happens. The charts that you're looking right now, these are the open center, not self-themes. These are the keynotes. Now, in human design, keynotes are very, very important because it sets certain vocabularies to the body graph to really understand your design. Now, when I began my living your design 2 years ago, I remember in the class, Lavina told us, if you have undefined throat, which is open throat, I have open throat. So if you have undefined throat, don't talk in the class. Try to practice not talking until we call your name. That's what she said, until I call your name. So I can find it so difficult because I've been conditioned to be a talkative person, and now I'm in the class. I have so much things I want to say, but I cannot say until my name until she called my name. So the process is actually helping us to awaken, to really see what's the difference between I talkative or I talk prematurely and I talk when invited. There's a very big difference between talking without invitations and talking when invited. So this is the aspect that we're going to go through to each sentence and see what part of your openness that conditions you, but in the end helps you to see your not self and then help you to see who you really are. Do you want to add your experience on this, Stacey?
I would say, and if this may be a repeat of what you said too,
Sorry.
is that, you know, being that a good bulk of the workshop is about this understanding the centers. When we go through each center, we're looking at the attributes of the center as defined. We're looking at the attributes of the center as undefined. And then in both areas, defined and undefined, there are healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors. And I really love this part of the workshop because everybody's different. So as we go through it, you can see all the ways that the center can show its themes for everybody. So like for me, one of my biggest challenges is the sacral. I am a projector, so I have an open sacral. I don't have a motor in there. And I notice, especially when I'm around generator types, that I have a hard time saying when I've had enough, when I'm tired, or when I've been somewhere enough, or things like that. And so for me, my practice has been over time to notice that rather than to keep going. And for the types that are non-sacral beings, non-energy types, this is a really important thing to put attention on and to practice, because we burn out really quickly. So something I noticed is I'll have a friend come over who's an energy type, and as soon as they sit down on the couch to have a conversation with me, I pop up and I'm talking to them and cleaning the house at the same time because I am amplifying, because it's an open center, I'm amplifying their definition, and it gives me extra energy to do the things that I might not normally do or might not have enough energy for, that when they're in aura with me, all of a sudden I'm like, no, I'm listening to you. I just want to straighten this thing up over here while you're here, because I'm amplifying their energy. And there is a point in time where that's helpful, and then there's a point in time where it's like, gosh, I'm tired. You know, I actually need to sit down with this person now and stop using the energy for cleaning the house. So that's, you know, some of my not self themes in terms of energy types is not knowing when to take a rest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can relate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
Right.
So I love this slide. This is an awesome slide. So on the left side, we have the vital energy, which is the self. So this is what a chart would look like, right? We've got centers that are defined, that are colored in, and we've got centers that are open, that are in white. And so when we look at the chart and we go through the chart in the centers, you're going to see for your particular chart which ones are defined and which energies come along with that, and that's like who you are. And then which centers are not defined, and how those themes, the not self themes, you will be able to see how easily we slip into the not self themes. So when we look at the right side of the slide, the potential not self, now the open centers are in blue. And so we really can see the areas where it's, like I said, it's very easy to be in our not self behavior, and where we obstruct ourselves or block ourselves from being in our flow. I will also add that even though you have open centers, when you are acting correctly according to your strategy and authority, there are healthy behaviors in those open centers as well. So just because you have an open center doesn't mean you're always in your not self. I think that's a common misconception as we start off looking at the chart. So, for example, I have a defined heart center, which is that little triangle, the teeny tiny triangle next to the diamond, which is the G center. So the energy of a defined ego or will or heart center is someone who needs to make promises. They work very hard. They have energy. There's an energy component to the ego center, And I can make commitments. In fact, it's very healthy for me to make promises and commitments and follow through on them. It's very good for my self-esteem. I notice as a coach that when I coach people or I talk to people that have an open heart center, that they make me a lot of promises and they make a lot of commitments of things they would like to follow through on. But as soon as they're out of my aura, a lot of them will not be able to keep those promises and commitments. And this is an unhealthy behavior for somebody who has an open heart center, because they actually will, by not keeping their promises, they will wreck their self-esteem, or they will, have less self-esteem because society tells you make promises and follow through, otherwise you're not doing the right thing, and it's not really true. So now that I know design, one of the things that I will do with people who I know have open heart centers is that I will actually ask them not to make me a promise, but to rather check in with me at another time to see if that was something that they could do then, or according to their authority, did they make a decision? Like if they're emotional authority, they need time to make that decision. If that's something that they actually can follow through on. So that would be more an example of a more correct behavior for someone that would have an open heart center. And if that wasn't clear, or if there's any questions, please put them in the chat and we will answer them at the end.
Yeah, you describe it very beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love this part of the slides as well, to really see your open center. Amazing. It can explain to you this is who you think you are, but it's actually not. And for you to see the potential behind the not self is through allowing yourself to experiment your own designs, especially through strategy and authority. Okay. One of the best part that we talk about in the course for 8 weeks is a signpost of the conditioning forces. And I love this aspect of Living Your Design workshop, because basically, if you look at open center, everyone's behave the same way in that open center. For example, if you look at open ego, like how Stacy described just now, open ego, everyone who have open ego are going to behave the same way, which is we try to make promises that we cannot deliver. We try to prove ourselves. I have an undefined ego. From time to time, following my experiments, experience my own design, allow me to be aware and witness how this open ego really works. Sometimes I can catch myself making promises that I should not make promises. So this is the part that we were going through each center to look at the signposts of the conditioning, the signposts of the open center. And what makes this conditioning grow from time to time? Because number one, it's our openness and our genes. And we also talk about people, especially if you're a projector. When you're a projector, people around you are your conditioning forces. I lived with manifesting generator. I work like manifesting generator without awareness. I do not know when enough is enough. And then we talk about, generally we talk about food really conditioning us. But in LYD, we not really go deeper into food. And we talk about the sleeping with another, sleeping, sharing the same space, your aura sharing the same space when you sleep, really conditions you to be the others. And we show you how it transits. And then, now this, the seven-centered strategy mind, these are the biggest conditioning force. When you start your Living Your Design workshop, the first modules that we're going to talk about is the difference between the seventh center and the ninth center human being. And the seventh center strategic mind, what it does to our ninth center vehicle. I love that part because it really helps you to see why our mind does not align with the body. Now the body doesn't care whether you are seven-centered mind, strategic mind. The body doesn't care because the body going through its own evolutions, and we are the nine-center being, going to a full nine-center being in 2027. But the mind is left behind. The mind is not catching up with the body. So in human design, these are the aspects that we explain to you. How it helps you to align your mind with your vehicle, with your body as a nine-center being. So basically following your strategy authority and your knowing your openness really helps you to nurture your wisdom potentials within your conditioning field, because you cannot avoid open centers. I received questions when I talk to people who comes to human design. They will always ask, can I just block these open centers, or I feel energy in, It doesn't work that way, because your open center is where you experience the others. You experience life. So these are the aspects that we're going to take a look at in the workshop. Do you have anything to add, Stacey?
I would ask you, what is conditioning, Rose? What do you mean by that?
Conditioning is where you are programmed, you are nurtured to be the same as others. So in human design, you are your own authority, you are your own uniqueness. And then the opposite of that is the generalizations. The opposite of what we call the homogenizations, where everyone's are the same. That's why when we look at each open center, we will see that everyone's behavior in that open center are the same. For example, sacral. Sacral can be, the north self of the open sacral can be, not knowing when enough is enough. If you look at projector or manifestor or reflector, they can be super generator or super manifesting generator, because the behavior are the same. So that is what conditioning means. It programs you to be the same as the others. So when you be the same as the others without awareness, you lose your uniqueness. You are not operating at your own frequencies. So that's how I see conditioning is.
Thank you.
Okay, what's the benefit of understanding my design and my chart? So I give this to you, Stacey.
Okay. So the benefits of human design. It awakens and aligns us to our true self. And that's really what we've been talking about this whole workshop, is about, when we understand the openness and how we're defined, in addition to our type, strategy, authority, and definition, we really come into the understanding of our true self. It lets us move in harmony with the flow of life. And we discussed that in terms of when we understand how we are being in our not self and how we are blocking ourselves, we can make really great choices about how to be in flow and practice who we are. It lets us find our right place and attract the right people and opportunities. One of the things we're going to talk about in the class is about the different auric types according to type and how each of them work. And when you are in your correctness, your aura is also in its right correctness. And it brings you the things in your life that are correct for you. Lets us operate with the correct frequency so our cognition works properly. So a lot of this is about, like, you know, when you are in your correctness, everything in your life is correct. Your brain works correctly. Your flow is correct. The people you draw into you, the opportunities you bring to yourself. The benefits of human design also let us transform our conditioning. And we just talked about conditioning being a force of the outside world that comes in through our open centers and brings us what we are not. And so when we are acting according to strategy and authority, we can actually be in our open centers in a healthy way. Human design also gives us permission to be ourselves and have compassion for others. And human design helps us to make decisions that point us in the correct direction of our life's purpose to unfold. So as you are practicing your strategy and your authority and your type and all these little pieces that we're going to learn in the workshop, what happens is there's this thing in your chart called the incarnation cross, which shows you your life's purpose. But your life's purpose cannot unfold until you are practicing your experiment and are practicing your strategy and authority, you know, over time. Then your incarnation just unfolds. It's not like a life's purpose, like, oh, my life's purpose is to teach human design. It's more like, you know, I'm the cross of planning, so there's a lot of things that have to do with community and skills and details, and how that whole story comes together is how I am going through this life, and everything that I do is my purpose. It's not who I decide myself to be, or, you know, that kind of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And when we talk about purpose, I remember one of Ra's quotes is that he said, "You don't find your purpose; it takes you." When our mind thinking that purpose is something that we need to create. We have the power to create, but the correct purpose comes through our design, and it lives through us. For the past 2 years, I be able to see how being a right angle cross of service works for me. For me, I find that one thing that what I want to share based on my experiment is when we talk about the flow of life, when we talk about how being harmony, living your design correctly will help you move in harmony with the flow of life. This is true to my experiences. We are energy moving in space. We all know that. And every single time, we move all the time. And so when we move, we will experience resistance. Now in human design, experimenting or living with our design correctly will help us reduce that resistance and be harmony with the flow of life. I will always emphasize people this. Why choose to live life with so many resistance when we can experience the other side of it?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Yurks?
No. I do want to add that the incarnation cross is not really discussed in the workshop. The point that we're trying to make is that as we support you in your experiment by teaching you the pieces of the important pieces of understanding your chart, this is something that will unfold naturally, and you can study it later on.
Yeah. You know, for projectors in these sessions right now, when you know that your design is all about knowing the others. This is the aspect that I find for both of us as a projector that we really have experience in compassion for others, because we kind of understand who is the others. Do you experience that too? I remember when you mentioned about you finally understand your daughters. I find that quite beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I understand myself, and then I can see the other and see that their design is completely different. Like, you know, I have tribal circuitry, and then I have one daughter that is completely like individual circuitry, and I can understand why I'm rubbed the wrong way around her a lot, because, you know, her aura as a manifesting generator is to be with herself, and then as a 1-3, being an internal profile is all about herself, and then the individual circuitry, it's all about herself. And I'm here being a 2-4, wanting to be in community and emotional, and having these tribal channel of community, wanting for everybody to, you know, be as one and be in flow. And then I have this kid who's like, no, but it's all about me and what I want. So it's still hard. I mean, it's still, there's always going to be that source of contention between our designs, but I can understand and relate to her in a different way, rather than trying to, you know, make her submit to a way of being that is not natural for her design.
Yeah. I think I always came across to this kind of quote. It says that you can't love other people until you love yourself first. So human design gives me that process of really know myself and love myself, and now I can accept people for who they are because I already know their design. So for me, I find that this is the benefit, one of the big benefits of knowing human design, knowing your design especially.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, what's next?
So
here we are. We're at the end. And I feel like we went into things pretty deep for just an introduction.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, you can type them in the chat. But basically, we're going to be hosting this Living Your Design workshop. It starts on September 8th. It's going to be Saturdays at this time from 10 Eastern to about 11:30. And it's 8 sessions. The cost of the workshop is $350, but if you sign up before September 1st, we have an early bird price of $300. And basically all the classes will be recorded and you'll have access to them. So if you had to miss one, you'll be able to make it up, and you'll have them all for your file. And then there's the Living Your Design student manual that is mandatory as a requirement for as a supplement to the course. And yeah, that's it. What's on the next slide?
Yeah.
So Ross says, when you begin your experiment with your strategy and authority, one of the most important things that you'll actually doing is that you are changing your physical frequency. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk around the chart and introduce you to yourself so that you can start to be in alignment with your frequency.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it true for my design when I start to follow my strategy and authority, I start to go through deeper in LYD, and then after that I go for the next level and next level, and I can see that the changes in physical frequencies really make difference in my life. And now most of the people that I met are people that I meant to meet in my notes, in my what we call in my path. I don't think we are able to be correct until we can change, and until the physical frequencies change itself. And that's why Ra emphasized on strategy and authority. So for me, to really understand how your strategy and authority works for you, not just on the mental level, but really feels that inside of you, can be really helpful, can be really transformative. That's what I find Living Your Design workshops really beneficial for those who want to experiment being who they really are.
Okay. Can you copy and paste the link there into the chat for anybody who is interested in signing up? This is just the invoice for the workshop for anybody who's interested in signing up. You certainly can find both of us on Facebook for any questions that you have. And I'm going to unmute everybody. So if anybody wants to ask anything, or if anything was unclear from the workshop, feel free. Feel free. So everybody's unmuted right now.
This is Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. So the basis of this workshop is to discuss the centers.
The type, strategy, authority, centers, and definition.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. It was a lot of fun sharing with all of you and meeting you. And if there's any way that I can support you in your experiment, or you want to just talk HD, you can find me online.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can connect with us. You can follow Stacy in Human Design New York City, NYC. You can follow me in Human Design Malaysia. We also an admin in Human Design Systems. If you want to connect with Stacy or me, our Facebook is Stacy Wexstein for Stacy and myself, Rose Osman. Just send your friends request and we connect from there.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day to you all.